Here comes the money. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
It's DeathPiles and Taxes time. Episode number 55, give or take a few, some bonus episodes.
Right around in there, if you round up. So, is it a leap year?
It will be a leap year.
So, you got to account for that in there somewhere. I'm still Derek Everett.
Dr. DeRoy Everett.
And you're still Adam Beasley.
I guess that's what they call me these days.
So the kids call you Prumpy Prump.
The kids nowadays call me the tax man.
And this is your podcast for eBay.
Making money.
Flipping. Reselling.
Paying taxes.
Getting in the trenches and paying them taxes. Adam, I brought you a gift, my friend.
I know.
This has been a hot topic around the text chain of the friends for the last, couple weeks?
It's all over the place, man.
There is a new drink, and if you've listened to this show, you know we like our dews. This is a Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. So not a Diet Dew, but a Dew Zero Sugar, which they really should be paying us for as much as we publicist.
That wasn't the Papa Top, but that was the twist.
The twist. So you can get Adam's reaction from a Dew Zero. I tried to explain it. I had one earlier, so I was trying to categorize how they taste, and it's
not bad.
It's different.
It is.
Not exactly what you were expecting, I'm sure.
You kind of surprised me. Like, you must have been speeding down the I-15 because you got here quick and early. I was going to do this whole thing. I was going to go get an Impossible Whopper and a regular Diet Dew, a regular Whopper, and just kind of did a little comparison.
Well, had I known, I drove a little slower. I didn't know you were feeding me dinner, lunch, and a movie.
Well, I think we're going to have to, when we hit the break, we're going to come back in a great mood because we're going to grab a little something to eat.
Well, there you go. Anyway.
I'm still recovering, man.
It's a Zero Dew 30.
You kept me up late, so I need some
I know this morning when the old alarm went off, I thought, what have I done to myself? Well, we went up to eBay, as anyone that's following us on all the social media would know.
Yeah.
Adam gave a presentation about taxes to our reseller group.
Man, and that $100 bill, that guy, he is on top of it.
And let me tell you this, Adam. Why can't you be that entertaining on the podcast?
You know, it's the company I keep, and the people at eBay are a lot friendlier than you are.
That's true.
They don't knock me down because I wear pocket protectors.
They don't know the real you.
They don't.
You went in there speaking the language, and I tell you, I've went to a lot of these meetup groups, and by far and away, Adam was talking for well over an hour, and they just kept going. Finally, he's like, all right, folks.
I got to go home. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin.
We got to wrap this up. His wife couldn't make it to see the site. I'm sure you went home and told her how it was, and she just said, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it was very well received, and we have a recording of it, so it's going to be a bonus episode we'll slip in, if not this week, next week, at some point here soon.
I just threw it up on the LinkedIn. I'm finding out that's the places to go.
I come in, Adam's on a phone call. He's a busy man. He's got people, business, venture capitalists, and the like wanting in on his action.
We're trying to hit the DeRoy, the upper echelon. We're trying to get on that speed dial of the important people, besides, the people I'm already on. But, I mean, DeRoy, that guy, he's got connections.
But anyway, so yeah, it's been an eventful week. I don't know what else is new, Adam, up here. I know you're getting ready for taxes.
Getting ready for taxes, man. It's W-2 time. We've been churning out W-2s like crazy.
So how is W-2 season? Because I've only been on the receiving end of you get it in the mailbox or they give it to you at the homestead, right?
That's true.
So from your end, how's that work?
So what happens is everybody's employed by somebody, so somebody always has to run payroll. Hence the reason I could have a job until the day I die, because the government always wants their money, and usually woman decides to have their own business, they decide to run their own payroll, they're going to screw it up, they're going to get a nasty letter from their partner, the IRS, and then they're going to freak out saying, I should pay somebody to do this the correct way. So that's mostly what we do. We do a lot of payroll for a lot of companies. A lot of them we do once a year, once a quarter, every 2 weeks. So at the end of the year, we have to create all of those W-2s, get them emailed out. We still mail them, but we email them to everyone, and that way we can make sure that we reconcile. You know, say you've got 10 employees, and D-Roy is
Whatever you want to call, I'm here.
He's way overpaid, underqualified. He is schlubbing the average of the employees. So we have to make sure that everybody, all the numbers add up. So that's what we do at the end of the year.
So it's just a lot of work going on right now.
Yes, and some companies are small, you know, some ones and twos. Some other companies, you know, that we send out. I used to do one company that had like 190 employees, and that sucked. I will never do that again. Like, if we do, the biggest employer that we do has about 25 employees, and I don't like that. Like, once you get over the 10 mark, we usually have another affiliated, you know, one of these bigger firms do it, like Gusto or ADP or something like that.
Hey, well, we got our buddy Jake from down in Oklahoma.
Jake from Allstate?
Jake, I think it's State Farm's the official.
Oh, Allstate Farm?
You remember there was a college football player, Jake Farm?
Yes.
And they Jake Farm, State Farm, that's the guy.
We already told you, like, they are praying for a Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl.
Which would be happy at the Everett household if that was to happen. My wife, big Green Bay fan.
I know that Pat Mahomes, he's going to turn into a pretty good ball player.
And my little brother Aaron, good personal friends with Andy Reid.
That is no exaggeration.
It's true.
Aaron Everett, our tech savvy, the guy who allowed this whole thing to happen, because we have this machine. I barely know how to turn it on.
He taught us how to do this, so if you have anyone to blame, it's probably him.
I done learned how to make my machine go. He did. He spent his religious sabbatical in the Kansas City area and had many of dinners with the Reed family.
Apparently he knows him. Anyway, our buddy Jake wanted to know a little bit. He sent in a question, and it was covered last night, so if you don't want to get deep in the weeds, Jake will be coming up with a bonus episode in more detail, but he wanted to know more of the tax information. He wanted to know more of the LLC, some stuff that you went into last night, so why don't you just give a quick synopsis?
A quick snippet.
Since I know it's on top of your mind
It is in the top.
of answer. I know you saw the question. And
yeah, so
you're wondering where this question was. It was on our Facebook group. You
It
should
was.
join it if you're listening. DeathPiles and Taxes.
Death DNT is what we've heard it referred to now. Question is, okay, I'm a reseller. I do some things. Should I be an LLC? Am I a sole proprietor? Do I need an EIN? Do I become a S corporation? There's so many things that go into it, but to start out, you could be a sole proprietor, which all that means is you use your social security number and your own name, and you put it on your own tax return. You file a 1040 tax return, which everyone has to do that. They have to file the taxes. You have a simple addition, an extra supplemental schedule that says eBay paid me this much money because you got a 1099 showing that you made $21,000. It shows, hey, I had inventory cost of $8,000. I sold this much. I had miles. I had fees. I had bookkeeping. I had accounting service, and bottom line, I made $4,000. That would be a simple sole proprietor. You can be a sole proprietor with an LLC. Like it says, you can still be a sole proprietor with an LLC. You get an EIN number, which that just replaces your social security number, because a lot of people anymore, they don't want to give it out, but we have tons and tons of sole proprietors that are an LLC. I said that last night. You should go back and you'll hear it. But LLC, it's this nice, fuzzy, warm thing that people think, it's going to hug you, make you feel better.
I like hugs, warm hugs.
Honestly, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just this word, these things. Like, if you do something extremely stupid and an attorney's good enough, they're going to go get you for anything anyway. So it's just a little thing. And then, yes, it gives you an LLC title. It technically helps you out a little bit. But when it's a sole proprietor, it doesn't really mean anything. And so that's kind of the long and the short of that. Once you get into the higher dollar volume, if your net income, now I know we've talked about this, gross revenue is the money you bring in. Net is your revenue is minus all of your expenses. If that net revenue is in the $30,000 to $35,000 range and will continue to be going forward, that's at the point you're going to want to look into becoming an S corporation. So those are kind of the long and the short, the quicks. We went into it heavy last night at the eBay thing.
I see what you did there.
And we hit it hard. So that's the long and the short. It is tax time. Get your W-2s, your student loan interest. If you are to the point where you have children who are in college, they need their 1098-Ts. I strongly encourage this. If you have children who are in college that are under the age of 24, you will want to file their return and your return at the same time, because there's a pretty substantial college credit that they may get, you may get. You want to make sure you go over those numbers jointly. Get your interest statements from your homes you own. I know you've got several in the Bahamas. Is that right?
They're offshore accounts. You don't need to know about or worry about those.
Okay. I told everybody last night, there is a brand new question that you have to mark yes or no. Did you partake in any virtual currency transactions? Are you flipping Bitcoin?
Which, read the top of this cap here. I just noticed that.
Pepcoin. What the heck is Pepcoin?
Apparently Pepsi's getting in on this.
Those boys are smart, man. So anyways, a lot of things going on tax time. The more informed you are, the better off you're going to be. So that's what we definitely encourage is learn a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Well, like last night, and I don't give Adam probably enough praise because that's just not what we do, because I need to sound superior at this podcast. So
And you are.
So, but
In your mind.
hey, and the listeners, I get the thumbs up. They last night, so Adam gives this lecture, sermon, discussion, talk, presentation. What would you call it? He gave a presentation.
Elaborate, what would I say? Defining moments of the IRS code.
But they said, hey, open it up for questions. And I had some people tell me this afterwards, is there's a lot of people that will come in with the disclaimer, even if they are an accountant, hey, I can't answer specific questions, I don't want to be legal or whatever. Adam comes up there, and one of his first lines is, I'm an accountant, I don't hide behind it. If you got a question, I'll answer it. And he had questions about everything from people that wanted to petition and take over the government to people that wanted to just like not pay a dime in taxes but still finance housing, to people that like, how can I just give this all to my kids and make it look like I don't have nothing? And he went through individually. I might have exaggerated a little there, but that's pretty close.
That is a line on.
It was a broad bunch of questions from people ready to retire to people just starting out, like teenage kids just working.
Man.
And he went around the room, and he wasn't working it to get clients. If he gets people that do taxes, whatever, that's a bonus for him, whatever. But he was just going to help people. But he gave spot-on answers, truthful answers to everyone, and it was no BS. And that $100 bill did come up to me afterwards and say, we had a guy last year, had the information, nothing wrong, but Adam was just personable, just spot-on, better than what we had before. And he was able to go around the room and just, it was no BS. He'd answer the question straightforward. He'd say, this is what it is. And people appreciate that. A lot of times you get that lawyerese talk and like, well, technically this, that. You sit there, you're bored, your eyes are glazed over, and you don't know what you listen to. Really, like, legitimately, I've been to a lot of these meetings, and this was the one where they're like, Adam's like, okay, we got to go home. Like, they just stayed all night.
No, we did. And
then afterwards, you were still talking to people until they about kicked us out. So
I don't know. That's kind of one of the things that I've tried to do is over the years. I've done this for literally this is coming up my 14th tax season. I try to make it not necessarily educational, but I try to take the formalities of it and actually explain it to you in a way you can understand it. Because it's extremely complex. And I was fully transparent. A lot of the new things that are going on, I don't know, they just changed it a week and a half ago.
Yeah, that was the nice part where you're just like, I don't know, man, they're just doing this, and that's where you got into, if you have a problem with the tax code, go talk to your legislature or this person or that person, and that's where Pandora's box kind of opened. But then, man, you just like, you took over and you're like, I don't know, you took the situation and defused it really fast and moved on. It didn't turn into a big, most people might have lost control there or had a one-on-one situation for 30 minutes. You diffused it and moved on, which was...
If you noticed, I always held the mic.
And you'll hear this on coming up. You'll hear all this and say, boy, Derek and Adam sure thought a lot of themselves for what that turned out to be.
Yes. I don't know. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Help me remember. There was what, 4 or 5 people that worked there from eBay that were there?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, $100 bill, man. We'd love to help get that group a little bigger. I mean, I can't believe how many people are not.
Well, here's the thing: it's a seller meetup group, and like I say, everywhere's got one. And I was talking to Bill about this a little bit afterwards too. Is he said, "How can I grow this, or how can we make this bigger?" Because the more people that show up, obviously, the more support you get from eBay. We're in eBay's official building, talking to people
who work for
eBay that will answer your questions. It's a gold mine. I don't know why more sellers don't go. I've invited people. They offer. I mean, it's $3. It's nothing.
Soda, treats, and
you can drink soda, which in this state is worth its weight in gold.
That's right.
You get treats. You get to talk to different sellers. It's like going to a business class of people that are doing the same thing that you do. They have this man Dennis who's been selling a few weeks or a few months, I guess. I talked to him briefly, but he bought out an auto parts store, but they had him come up and they're sharing that he had his first sales.
And didn't you feel informed when the guy got up and talked about the Sitka camo jacket?
I did too. I'm looking over. My wife's sitting. My wife will go to this meeting and she'll do this with us, but she won't listen to the podcast. But anyways, I'm looking over that and we're giving ourselves head nods like Sitka. Yeah. Oh yeah, we know that. That's the high brand.
We knew.
And my wife's just like, you guys are idiots. Like looking at me like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, we talked about this on the podcast. Thanks to Mike Painter, and maybe that will be the Husky section at the end of this episode is where we talk about the camo.
The camo.
So
that was a good one.
The Sitka. We'll throw that one in there, but. We felt like knowledgeable. That guy broke down.
Gross profit, gross margin.
Good things to know. It's networking and it's just learning more things to sell and how to do it. And there's every state's. I mean, just go to your meetup, go find your eBay seller group. But if you're in Utah, you have no excuse. Me and Adam drive from.
It takes us an hour and a half. You stopped and we got a good chicken dinner at the.
We stopped and ate. Adam said, "You get to write this off."
You're dang right, I did.
We go up there, we meet some good people, and we come back. It's once a month. You owe it to yourself to do this kind of thing. I mean,
it's like if you want to learn it, there's places to learn it. And here's the best part: people are open and transparent. They will tell you exactly what they're doing.
The guardrail goes down. It's not you're in these online groups and you think that, but people are pretty close to the best, and they might not tell you everything on the online group, or you might not know. Here, you become friends, and it's like, I'm selling my Sitka stuff, or hey, I found this. I mean, I got some hot leads. Maybe we'll talk about it a little later. And we got to be friends with $100 Bill. People that run it, the eBay employees.
That's right.
And I'm just going to throw this out. If you have a meetup group or something and you're looking for people to bring on, call up Adam up Accounting.
We can get on a phone call. We'll jump on
bring in Adam, Skype him in, whatever. Schedule it out, but have him come talk to your group about taxes.
I will throw this out there. I told you when I went in, they asked about, do you want a PowerPoint presentation? Do you want to listen? I have learned over my years, the good old knowledge upstairs it's what you got to have. You got to have that memory. You got to have exactly what you want to go over, because just like I told you, I might have jinxed it. They get there, they got this really cool TV, and there was an issue with it.
Yep, and technology was down, but Prumpy was still on. So
if I would have used it, if I would have used the crutch, the enhancer, couldn't have performed as well.
Well, I'm just saying, if you do have a meetup group and you want to bring in a tax expert,
we'll figure it out for you.
Get a hold of Adam at Adam Up Accounting.
I'll tell you what I am hoping. There's twofold to it. We are going to eBay Open. There's no question. We are not missing this year. We're going to be there.
We'll be there. Bell's on.
I don't know. I'm hoping. We'll see what can happen. I'd love to parlay that into maybe speaking down there, that little a workshop.
Put it out there in the universe, right?
We'll see what happens. I gave him my 2 cents about getting Gary V there. I know you're a close personal Twitter friend.
Yep. Well, you can drop the Twitter. Just friends, fine.
Just friend.
Close personal friend.
You do have those unbelievable wrestling thing. I believe the term today was greatest wrestling seller on eBay. Was that the term that got
so I get a lot of feedback, and sometimes it's getting bad. I'm still battling the guy from feedback last week we talked about. Haven't received the item back yet. Guys want to know when I'm going to credit him, and I'm on ignore mode of like, once I get it, I'll give him his money back, close the case, get the negative removed, but I'm not going to keep feeding into it. So every day it's getting these nice messages from this gentleman about, hey, when are you going to give me my money back? Hey, give me my money back, you crook. So I get this message from this other guy, and it just made my day, because you get a lot of feedbacks, and a lot of them are just generic, and this, that, and the other. And we talk about, I sell a lot of wrestling cards, wrestling type things. And I had that whole, this is a waste of my time, but yet now it's starting to pay off of knowledge. And anyways, some guy said best wrestling seller on eBay or something like that. I don't know. It was something really nice, and it just made my day. So I took a screenshot and sent it around a little bit.
I'm going to throw it down. I'm going to say, you know what? SSI_collect. I appreciate it. Best wrestling guy on eBay. Super satisfied, 5 stars across the board.
That was directed to me from SS Insider or whatever. So I was appreciative, and a lot of times we don't toot our own horns, like I was saying earlier with Adam. But this was one of those where I'm like, you know what? We work hard. I've got knowledge in a thing. I went, into it where people are just like, there's no money to be made, and I've carved out a nice little niche, and I've made some pretty good money with it. And to get feedback like that, it just it was nice, especially after a week with returns and with just crazy stuff going on and everything. I went over the 3,000 feedback this day, so I'm over 3,000 positive feedbacks.
I think we're at 30.
And from what I gathered, once I started going kind of not full time but hardcore, whatever you want to call it, I get about 1,000 a year ish. So not everyone that does it is going to give you your feedback.
No,
but for the most part, it's just nice. It's a nice little thing to have there to back up that you know what you're talking about. But anyways, that was really nice. Adam, last week, did you get any feedback? Is Brian still my friend? Did he make it back from Disneyland all right? I felt a little bad once I listened back to that. So I put on those U2 songs for him in the break.
I just listened to it, actually, and I misspoke. It's not...
Wait a minute.
It's not Bono. Isn't it Bono? Or is it Bono,
It's Bono.
not Bono?
It's Bono.
I think I said Bono, not Bono.
That's all right. You call it U2.
I know.
Or YouTube. I can't say the band and the website now without mixing them up because of you.
I know. I'm just... I did listen to it.
Go subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube or something like that.
I don't know what it is. I'm baffled by that great... whatever,
The claw.
monstrosity.
I looked into that too because I'm like, I can answer my own questions or something. It's called the Claw.
So
It's the only one in North America.
Short story long. U2, the band, Bono, they had this really crazy stage that is, I don't know.
We've talked about it a few times.
But anyways, it's out on the freeway. Like, it's right off the freeway here in Salt Lake area for the
aquarium. It's a part of the aquarium now.
I don't know. So anyways, it's one of those weird things. So you got me off track, man.
How was the show received? But did Brian talk to you about anything?
I haven't heard from them since.
So they still in Disneyland?
They're still enjoying their vacation.
Well, that's good. You're not one of those bosses that says, "Hey, you got to be back in 3 days."
They were going to come back. I was like, don't come back for Friday. Come back Monday. Like, it doesn't
That's
matter.
nice, man. You should tell them to source some things for you while they're out there.
I believe I told him to do a little source, and his wife thinks it's stupid.
Well, if you got more money than you need, I guess it might be. But for those of us living on the other side of the railroad tracks, we'll take any dime that can be tossed our way. True story. I was getting fuel this morning. I get it like 6 in the morning. I was at the I'll say Sam's Club because that's where it was, and somebody had left 15 cents on top of the garbage can.
Booyah!
You better bet I harvest that. Who leaves 15 cents just laying around? So I took advantage, and that first hour of work, I thought I made a 15-cent an hour raise for that first hour. So and with eBay, I make more than that. That's the kind of guy I am. If you find a penny, you pick it up.
I was going to tell you, we talked about it last night at the what's your why? Like, well, why are you doing this? Why are we, we've been doing it for a little while. We haven't broke the bank, but we made a good chunk of change. My wife just transferred it over to our usable account.
Oh, there you go.
We will be using it to buy baby items for his room.
There you go. When you started, you didn't know exactly what was going to go for a time it was going to go to Disneyland. Now you are furnishing a room for a baby who wasn't even around when you started this.
That's true.
Isn't here quite yet. We're here in a few months. And it's coming from eBay money, right?
It's all fun.
That's awesome.
And it's been fun doing it with our kids. Like I said, it's them teaching them some business skills. I know after baby comes, we'll be able to get back and do a little more sourcing, a little more things. 'Cause it's hard. being pregnant is not fun.
Don't tell me about it.
I know.
My back kills.
So we're trying to get that figured out, but it's been fun. It's been interesting to do that, and I'm getting some feedback.
That's what I was asking you about. That's where I was going.
I'm trying to play it cool here, because like I said, you never want to.
Old Cool Hand Luke over across the desk for you folks.
It's always difficult with some of our listeners, because we never want to divulge too much information, but we always want to make it interesting and fun and you know. And
yeah, we try to be informative yet fun to listen to.
That's right, and we don't like too many of these insights, because I mean we got more people outside of the state of Utah than we do.
We were very, very heavy at the first of it with just inside jokes with us and our friends, and then we've tried to get away from that, but yet include everybody. So yeah.
And now we're just getting more and more inside jokes with other listeners.
But we got more friends, so more friends to make more jokes.
Yes.
So what's your feedback?
You know, people enjoy learning about what to sell on eBay. What I mean by that is actually saying, you know, you're right. I have a death pile. And it's funny because that's what somebody said last night. You know, they inherited some items from their dad, a microscope, some other items.
I believe the phrase was, my dad was a hoarder. I believe that was the phrase.
That was the story. You're a hoarder unless you're selling? Is that what
Unless you're, well, no, I think this guy was he just had all this new box stuff, and it was, microscopes, and it was all sorts of this kind of $200-300 items, and they said that they got them for free, so they put them up for $150, $200, because they didn't care. It was all profit.
So I got a question for you, because I had a unique situation yesterday. There's down here in downtown, beautiful Payson, beautiful place. Had a chance, met with a gentleman. He was working on a building. Anyways, I was able to visit this building, and these buildings are old. Like, we're talking 130.
Yeah, you don't need to disclose too much. I know what you're talking about. I don't want to get this guy.
It's an older building, but I walked in and Homeboy had some stuff. Like, Homeboy had like literally a building full of stuff that I and you know are of items that a lot of people have in their death pile. So what, if anything, is your appropriate approach to that kind of a situation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and here's the thing, and you were telling me more about the story, and this guy had the dream that someday he was going to have a museum.
Yes, and he was, I don't know a specific age, but he was in his later 70s, and I'm not for squashing dreams, but I would be shocked if.
Well, that's the thing where kind of reality comes in. Okay, you're a senior citizen at this point. Hopefully, you got another 20 to 30 years. Like, I'm backing you for 40, buddy.
Yeah.
I hope you're the first guy that lives to be 120 or whatever. However, okay, and you said this is a huge building.
Huge. We're talking
full of things.
Yes.
This isn't
stacked from the floor to the ceiling.
Even if this isn't all going to be in your museum, like, you need to clear it out so you can have your museum.
Yeah, there's no way you could have a museum in there.
You know that your kids or grandkids at this point don't want this stuff. Hey, I know this is really cool. This is some great things here. One, what do you plan to do with it? Or if you get to the point where you can't handle it, who's going to take over for you? And just throwing this out here, but I'd be interested in some of the stuff I sell. I'd be upfront with somebody like that. Like, hey, I put something on the internet. I think there's some value here. Would you be interested in selling or doing some sort of a commission deal to where I can help you clear out some of this stuff? I'm not just going to come in here and highway rob you. If there's something you don't want to get rid of, that's cool. But let's go through some things. Maybe you can sell me a couple boxes, see how it goes. We talked about helping people learn to sell and list, and not saying that somebody in their late 70s or 80s can't do that, but they probably don't want to.
True.
So if you can say, hey, man, I'll give you, $20-$40 for this box, or I'll come back and give you 50% of the profits of what it sells for, and they're thinking, okay, the internet, whatever, and you come back in a week with a couple $100, all of a sudden that mindset goes to, oh, I can spend money.
Yes.
Or I can, everybody likes money, so something like that. You don't want to offend them or you don't want to bust the dream, but maybe make it a little more realistic of, hey, you got something I can use. Your kids and grandkids don't want to clean this up. They're going to sell the building and everything in it the second that you're gone and try and make a couple $100,000. That's what they're going to do.
Yes.
Or else they've been in here trying to make it, you don't want to throw the kids or bury them, but kind of let them know, hey, they're not doing it.
there was a car hanging from the ceiling.
You were saying some of the stuff that was there, and obviously you're not going to be able to go in and buy this classic vintage car off of him for cash, probably, and he probably isn't going to sell that.
It was the body frame only, but there's a car hanging from the ceiling.
But maybe some of the other stuff where you're like, hey, this is really cool. Do you mind? Something like that. Just
he had a lot of smalls.
You get in the door a little bit.
Yeah.
You get the foot in the door. You get in there. Then money talks.
Here's the thing: is your mindset, like it just switched, like that on-off switch where, a couple years ago I'd be walking through like, man, this is just a junk hole, and what are you gonna do with all this? To now, like, there's $30. I can bet you that goes for $100. I wonder if I can look on my phone without him looking at me.
What are you looking up on your phone? Well, even it's a $100 bill. He's getting to be a part of the show here.
I know.
I was talking to him last night, and he went, and some lady wanted to come out and look at her book collection.
Yeah.
And so he goes out there, and there's nothing rare, nothing that valuable, but he sees a bunch of these model cars.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing of like, hey, these books aren't worth anything, but these cars are. And he made some sort of a deal with her, and I believe he said that if he made more money than what they agreed on, he was going to run her out extra money and say, I'm not going to rob you. I don't want to shortchange you or anything. But, there's always opportunities, and people, this guy, honestly, in the back of his head, he knows it just ain't happening at this point, I'm guessing. There's a reason he let you in there and showed you around, because he's cool. He thinks this is a cool thing, and he's proud of what he's collected and stuff, but it's to the point of who's going to clean this up, and, if you're going to do the museum, what pieces are you going to keep? Because not all of this is going to make it.
No, it's just not. I don't know. That was something I thought about. So that's, again, as we kind of get into, there are, like, when we say this at the end and we give our little spiel, like we call it, I don't know, it's very, what do you call it? I don't know, what word am I thinking for? Cliche. Yeah, very cliche.
Oh, there you go.
DeathPiles and taxes.
That was our little hook, our little catchphrase, yeah.
It's true. Like, that's the thing. Like, we're not joking. Like, guess what? By April 15th, you got to file your taxes. Doesn't matter. There are ginormous death piles, and a lot of these things are coming to fruition now. It's definitely changing. People talk about being minimalists and this different generational things. Like, my grandma grew up in the Depression, and like they took tinfoil and rewrapped it up. They got stuff.
Yeah.
And the reality is, yes, a lot of it is not a lot of monetary value. Obviously, you want to do something right with it in the best way, but there are a lot of things in there that have sentimental value, but also have value that, Grandma might not have had a lot of money to give you, but Grandma had her stuff and said, you know what? In memory of Grandma, we're going to do all this. We're going to pull it together, and we're going to have one heck of a shindig in a year after she's passed on and remember Grandma.
And there might be, there is trash in the world. There are some things that are not trash. So when you go through DeathPiles and you go to the stores and stuff, you got to dig for the treasure.
Yes.
If you ever watched the pirate movies and stuff, the treasure X marks the spot, but you got to dig for it, right? So you might be in the right location, and there might be, a $100 bill sitting underneath a bush or something. But there's other people looking for the treasure, and they might be in the same area. You got to do a little digging. You got to get your hands a little dirty sometimes. It's not just always on the top at the yard sale, first thing there. You might have to say, hey, I see you got some old 8-tracks tapes here for sale. They're not really worth nothing or whatever, but you're like, you have any old vinyl records that you might be selling?
Yeah.
Hey, I see you have some Super Nintendo games. You got any original Nintendo? Like, you got to kind of make that network, and you got to kind of as our friend Chris Jericho would say, break the wall down.
Oh.
And do a little digging. You got to find the treasure. You might be sitting, every time I go into a thrift store, which isn't as often as people would think listening to the show, because I'm just listing. Like, we're just going. I got plenty of stuff. Sometimes it's just fun to go do.
I think what happened is you get more in that not hibernatal mood, but the sun goes down a little earlier.
Yeah, you kind of get that winter.
It's
slumpy.
cold. You want to get in. You want to list. And come summertime, you fill the wagon.
You got to fill that wagon.
It's fun to stay out till 9.
Oh yeah, there's yard sales. It's warm. There's estate sales. There's thrift stores, new stuff. People are spring cleaning.
You get up early on Saturday morning with your bills in your pocket,
and you're happy to go. But what I always do, and I'll tell my wife this, I'll say, hey, in this thrift store here, there's $1,000 hiding here. We just got to find it.
Absolutely.
And I'm probably underestimating what's there. And that's the case for pretty much every little thrift store across the nation, I'd say. We got so much stuff. And people are always, well, the Goodwill prices are up, or they're this or that, or they're trying to gouge resellers or something. It's a game.
It is.
They found some brands that they can upsell, but there's always something that's going to fall through the cracks and be missed. And you just got to be diligent, and you got to find it.
You just gotta you gotta search for it,
But things like that, I mean, some people you got to luck into. I mean, some of that you just got to luck into the right person and find them. But every town has a few people that just have buildings full of things, junkers or whatever they want to call them.
Yeah.
And building that relationship and getting in there. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe you were grandkids and you were friends with them going to the school, and you know it's their grandpa. Maybe you just ran into them when they're going up and down the street. Who knows?
We're trying to give you the map so you could find the treasure.
But when people are saying there's nothing here, or I don't know, there is. You just got to be willing to do it. Like wrestling
it's
cards.
Not easy. Like,
I'm the wrestling card expert. I watched wrestling growing up. I didn't buy my first pack of cards for wrestling cards until it was less than a year ago or something. Listen to podcasts, but now I'm the best on eBay according to people. So
I didn't want to get in. We'll get into it later, and we got to get it. We got several shows we got to crank here with our special guest. But man, we went and visited Phil again. Over there, over there at his card shop in Spanish Fort.
Every time I go in there, he tells me, I was just here. I go in about once a week and blow way too much money, but it's fun.
It's investments.
They've been selling, so I can't complain.
You're investing, so. Hey, man, we've already burned through almost
half
hold
the
on.
show. What, Phil? You went and saw Phil?
I'm getting hungry.
We'll get to the commercial. It's okay.
I'm getting hungry. Phil's a stud, man. We went in there. My kids each had an allotted $5 to go in and buy some cards, and of course, like both, they're like, man, I really like these. I'm going to use some of my other money to do it. I'm like, okay, great. That's your money. You can do what you want. But Phil hooks them up, man. Like he makes sure that they're in there. Obviously, a lot of cards they're buying have very small value, but it's getting them to understand how it goes. Which my son loved the cards, he loved the PSA magazine, and again, it's just learning like brands, understanding, well, this is this, Topps, Panini, Donruss, whatever they are, understanding years, how rookie cards work, which cards nowadays, they're totally different than ours.
Oh yeah, it's a whole new era.
You bought a card so you could know exactly where Bart Oates went to college, what round he was
how many
drafted
seasons he played.
That's exactly what you bought a card for. Like, it was always, where did Dan Marino go to college? University of Pittsburgh. Duh, everybody knows that.
Pre-internet.
What year was he drafted? 1984, 19 whatever. He was the seventh, quarterback drafted. That's what it was. And now, they don't even say that stuff.
It's free internet. Now they can just Google it.
I understand. And that makes sense because, before, you could never, look up what, Joe Montana's stats from Notre Dame. You couldn't look up what
They
year.
have to be a little shinier, a little more collectible, a little more this or that, because we just had the same. It was the same. You had one rookie card. Yes. Now there's 20 different versions, and some are see-through, and some have holograms that connect you to the moon and all this kind of stuff.
So that part was interesting, and my son went through the hologram. I'm telling you, they still wow. My daughter got a hologram Toy Story card. I guess there's 4 of them in all the Story packs. She got it, and this is over the Christmas break. We're watching Toy Story 2. We had a little Toy Story-a-thon, and we were watching it. And she's like, Dad, stop the show. And I'm like, what do we need now? Because I like to get into it. I don't like to be interrupted.
Just watch it.
Just watch. No.
You think I'm paying this money for Disney Plus for your enjoyment, or mine? Just watch it.
That's right. So she said, rewind it. We rewound it, and she's like, stop. She pulls up her hologram card. Boom! It was exact scene of the hologram card.
Smart.
So I was like, bingo! They know what they're doing. So
all right, Ab's hungry, folks. We're gonna take a break. People are looking to save some money, make that New Year's resolution.
Everybody's trying to. Financial improvement is always on your list.
That's where our friends at Visible Mobile come in. They can help you save the money, but you're not losing the quality.
It's all about good service and quality.
Go over to visiblemobile.com. They always got some new promotion going. Just every day they're giving something bigger and better.
Yeah, we're all going to have a cell phone. I mean, you're sourcing. You need some form of communication, and Visible Mobile is a great option for you. What do they do, Derek?
Well, first off, right now it's $40 all in, but they're saying $25 to try them out. It's unlimited everything. It's Verizon coverage, so it's the best coverage out there. You get a mobile hotspot, just everything, man. They give DeathPiles and Taxes listeners $20 off. So if you're to go in and use our promo code and get the new $25 to start, Adam, I'm not a mathematician, but what is $20 off of 25?
That's not a lot to have to pay every month.
That's $5 to give them a try. You owe it to yourself.
What is that promo code for us, buddy?
Everybody's favorite.
Well, they're going to get us a better code one day, but right now, hit me with it.
BVWBQ.
That's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Put that in the promo code, and we'll save you $20 off your initial, plus whatever else they're going to give you. VisibleMobile.com.
Go to it, and you can tell us thank you later. Well, it's taxes of DeathPiles and Taxes. It is that time of year. We're going to have to do something. Uncle Sam wants his money.
Who doesn't want their money?
Well, he's got a lot of it, but we all got to put it in the system. That's the country we live in. So, need to file your taxes. Got questions? You want to know more because you're a reseller? It is a little more difficult than it is, especially if it's your first year. You're getting into it. You're going to get these 1099Ks. You get information that you don't know what to do with, and we don't want you to pay any more than you have to. So reach out to us here at Adam Up Accounting. You can go to our website. You can check us out on social media. We'd love to help you out. Like I said, we know the resale game. We're here to make sure that you pay your fair share, but don't go back to jail. Well, this is going to be the greatest second half of DeathPiles and Taxes ever.
That's putting a lot of pressure on a guy like me. See that?
You're choking up because you still enjoyed the break, right?
Man, so for the break, Adam pulled out the old Impossible Whopper versus Real Whopper. I don't know if you want to get into it, but that's what happened.
It was great. I've wanted to try one the whole time. The Dan Patrick Show, listen to it, Sports Talk Radio, they were talking about it this morning, and they were trying to steal my idea. I've had this idea since the Impossible Whopper came out. They also talked about Mountain Dew. I'm like, these guys are stealing my gig. They must be listening to the podcast.
They must be circling around the studio, the Stabby part of town, trying to see what's going on.
They're trying to figure out, hey, how can we get content like those guys on DeathPiles and Taxes?
So what's your takeaway?
I'm a very satisfied man right now.
That's the thing. Everyone's like, well, it's not healthy for you, or it's made out of dog kibble or whatever. Like, fast food's good for you to begin with. Like, people just get so upset about things that they just lose it, and that's why these old people on Facebook, the OK Boomers and the millennials and everyone, we just need to all mesh together and get along. And if Adam wants to have an Impossible Whopper and you want to have a traditional Whopper, or vice versa, who cares?
I think I used that phrase a couple times last night.
What phrase?
Who cares?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Like,
some things don't matter. If your life is to the point that you can complain about what Burger King decides to serve to its customers when it's had a variety of sandwiches throughout the years, and this one is called an Impossible Whopper because it pretends to be a meat patty but isn't, and that just puts you over the edge. Like, start selling stuff on the internet because you got some free time.
You do got some free time. Man, that was a good break. I'm glad we did that. I've never had an Impossible Whopper, never had a Mountain Dew Zero, and here we go, man.
Hey, we're crossing off the bucket list. Then earlier, Adam gave me this protein bar. So we have protein bars, Whoppers, and Mountain Dews. So we're all amped up. But I look at him and I say, who's Robert Irvine? And you'd have thought I just slapped his grandma in front of him and said, who's this old hag sitting around here? He says, you don't know who Robert Irvine is?
Yeah.
I said, no. He's a chef. Okay, no, I don't know. Then he pulls it up and gives me some of his credentials. And Adam is a Food Network man.
I enjoy me some Food Network.
I have seen him. Now that I saw the picture, I do recognize him. And it was a great protein bar. So
At some point, I'll talk about my experience at the Guy Fieri restaurant.
This guy, he's all over the place.
We do what we can with those Food Network people.
Hey, Adam, last night to dove back in, there was a man talking about paying sales tax in Pennsylvania, but yet he lives in Utah. And the more I thought about that last night, I think this is going to be more of a problem for people. Can you just kind of summarize? I know it'll be on the thing, but you went and talked to him afterwards, which won't be on the podcast. Summarize what was going on and kind of what people should be aware of.
Well, like we all know, our government is so complex with left and right turns. Like there is no way to say what way is head up or head down. So I'm gonna preface it with that. I talked about it last night. One of my first things that I talked about in college, because I saw this writing on the wall forever ago. Okay, in 2006, 7-ish, back when I think I was still working on my sophomore, junior, who knows? It took me forever. I might as well be doctor.
Let's call you that, Dr. Adam.
As long as it took me to graduate college. I dabbled in things, but I was passionate about sales tax. I was passionate about online retailers versus brick and mortars. Why? I'm a weird guy.
Don't ask why. Like you don't ask why things sell, why you sell it. Don't ask why Adam's into sales tax, but somebody's got to be.
I wanted to be the San Diego Padres payroll manager at the age of 10. Some people have different dreams.
Some wires just didn't connect right. that's just how it is.
Some people grew up loving wrestling and selling cards back to Hulk Hogan.
That happens sometimes.
We all got our things. So I wrote this article about talking about sales tax. It's becoming such a complexity thing. And this was like 13, 14 years ago now. And that's what I spoke about is how are we going to figure this problem out? And what I mean by the issue, it's changing, it's evolving than what it was 5 years ago. Because a lot of people would, and this is why a lot of the big box retail stores are going out of business. They cannot compete with online. Because said user, we'll call him, Flerick.
Sounds like a very handsome man.
Who's, he's kind of one of those guys, like, he'll go to the store, try something on, and take it home, wear the shoes, and then take them back.
Well, he might be handsome, but he's got some questionable morals and ethics.
And that's what people do. They'll go to, like, Best Buy, they'll go to Toys R Us, and they'll go test out the toy, because the toy might be, $200, and they're going to have to pay $214 because they have to pay 7% in sales tax, and dang that city of Orem for taking my money. So I'm going to go to the store, test it out, see if that's what I want, get the right size, and then I'm going to go home and order it on Amazon and pay $200 with free shipping, and then I don't have to leave anywhere.
And a few years ago, that would be tax-free.
Exactly, it was. So then they started getting into the game. Like they realized, okay, this is what's going to have to do. But there is nothing uniform in federal, state government. Who the heck knows about all these different rules and things that may or may not be breaking? So every state says, this is the wild, wild west. This is what we're going to do. And now it's referred to as Nexus. Do you have any idea what that means?
I didn't join that one. I had some friends pitching me to join and get into the Nexus. I didn't think it was for me. I was on the ground level. And if I sold, some of that Nexus to the next people on the downline, I'd be a top distributor. There was a convention I may or may not have attended. Can't remember. You can't be sure.
No, I'm not talking about Napster. I'm not talking about Cuban's big thing that was about Napster, about, music.
Oh, yeah, well, he stole music all the time. Yeah. I thought you were talking about one of these MLM things.
No. I know you know more about them than most people ever should. But Nexus refers to when you're selling a product that comes out of that place, or you have an employee that is out of that particular place. And that's what this gentleman talked about, is he sells some stuff on Amazon, and it gets stored at the warehouse.
Which a lot of our people do.
A lot of our people do, and apparently where his stuff is stored, some unique gem type products, it's stored at this Pennsylvania warehouse. So now what happens is his product now have Nexus. Essentially, he has a store in the state of Pennsylvania.
And so the state of Pennsylvania says, hey, we want our money. And he's saying, what money? I sell through Amazon.
Correct. but because of the location, he had to collect sales tax. And it's really weird because every one of these states, Amazon's starting to get on board. We've talked about it, several times. eBay's now getting up. What is this sales tax thing? Well, read about it. Like it says, it's your job, it's your business. But that's what was happening is he was having to actually file sales tax, collect sales tax in Pennsylvania and learn how to do it. But again, that brings up the question is, well, I sell all over. I'm going to have a fleet of accounting knowledge to be able to file sales tax reports in every state.
Well, that's the problem. You got 50 states. You got who knows how many counties. You got how many countries.
Yeah.
And Uncle Sam and whoever wants to start dipping their hand in your pocket. And once that's open, there's no shortage of mouths that want to be fed.
Pandora's box gets bigger and bigger.
So they're trying to figure all that out. If you are selling Amazon FBA, that's where you're sending it into these warehouses. Whatever state your warehouse is in, as we learned last night, you are accountable. So basically that turns into your warehouse as far as the government sees it.
Correct.
So you might want to be aware of where Amazon's having you ship things, or if you can control where they're having you ship, either do it your state or some state without sales tax, or that you understand the tax code at least, and try to keep that as unmessy as possible. But a lot of the times you just have to do what they tell you.
And here's the reality of what we're saying on this episode right here. It could be different tomorrow. It could be non-applicable to yours because we know we've got an Amazon big warehouse down in Las Vegas. I don't think it matters there because it's in Vegas and they don't have any sales tax.
So if you send it to Vegas, that's great. But if you send it to Pennsylvania, maybe not.
Same thing as I've had some other businesses that we've dealt with that they perform a lot of work online, like we refer to it, the gig economy. If you're going to pay an employee, even if they are located in, for example, Texas, and yes, Texas doesn't have income tax, but they have big sales tax. And if you're sourcing and listing for me in Texas, now if I'm selling items from Texas, now I've got to collect sales tax, even though I'm not in Texas. I have somebody working for me in Texas, so now bring on the complications of taxes.
That's the crazy thing, because I think as a seller, and especially when this is first starting, obviously I didn't want it to come because I can buy stuff online and I can sell things online without taxes. So that was my first thing is, let's just keep this not happening.
Are you saying that you may or may not have gone to a store, tried something on, used it, took it back, and then bought the same item on the internet?
I didn't, but I've seen people in stores, like on Amazon, looking up things and pricing, and then just, it's just cheaper. That's how it was.
That's exactly how it is. And unfortunately, that's why these places are going out of business.
And it's one of those, compete, it gets all messy, but I just am baffled because I could see if I had to pay sales tax to the state that I live in. So okay, I understand I'm in Utah. I sold it even though it's going to Nebraska. I'm paying Utah sales tax. It boggled my brain when I am paying sales tax to a state I have never even been to because I'm selling an item to that state even though it's coming from this state. And you start doing these spider webs and it just gets messy. So that's why we always say not only know your stuff, but have an accountant, whether that's Adam or somebody else. It's just a lot easier to get a good accountant.
And if anybody has a question about it, I'll be happy to attempt to answer it. But sales tax issues, they are not my specialty.
Although he loves it.
I love to learn about it. There's the company that I've dealt with in the past. That's all they do. They file sales tax in every single state.
So you can point people to the right direction. So
absolutely. I've got an interesting story about that. Can I
I love interesting stories.
I have a opportunity, a job that I helped out with a guy when I began. We're talking 14 years ago, and that's kind of what led me into this quandary of sales tax questions.
This is what piqued the interest. This is the top of the pyramid.
He was selling scrapbooking supplies. Okay, great. That's a wonderful market. Anyways, he was doing that, and this is a long time ago. He thought it was a great idea to get sales tax numbers for all of these places. And it's a pretty big deal. You got to fill out some paperwork and you don't want to screw it up. But what he did is he did this, and we're not talking a couple bucks. Each state, he probably had liabilities anywhere from $500 to $3,000.
Wow.
I think we had 37 different states, which again had counties and everything. And I looked it all up. We were close to about 50K in sales tax that was collected, but he never paid it.
Ooh, that gets juicy.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened to this 50K that was supposed to be tax money that never got dispersed to the right?
Oh,
I can't even say multi-city. What's that word I'm trying to say here?
I don't know. I know you're baffled just like that.
Yeah, that caught me on. I'm flabbergasted.
Let's just say you don't like messing around with tax agencies because you're going to get lien letters, levy letters. You get to that point, it's just nasty, and it was a lot of work. I mean, I did my best attempt. I helped with a couple states, but again, I had to refer them to somebody else. Like, dude, you don't have the money to pay me to learn how to do this. And be like, you're in some serious stuff, man. Like, you need to figure this out. Cause
Here's the question, though, Adam. Did you keep him out of prison?
true story, no prison time.
Hey, there you go. Adam always promises that he will not let you go back to prison.
I will not let
Or
you
jail.
go back.
So I mean, you don't, like we always say, you don't mess around with taxes and you don't mess around with Uncle Sam because they'll find you.
I told that story last night. Like, that is your partner. You have a partner. They can be a silent one, or they can be that awful person that you never want to see at Thanksgiving again.
And here's the thing. Like, at some point, you retire, you stop, you're done. The government's just a big cog rolling down. They never stop. Even if they don't catch up to you, they might catch up to your kids, your grandkids. At some point, they're going to figure it out, and they're going to come take what's theirs, right?
I've got a letter over there for somebody for 2014 for $26. Like, unless you take care of it, it is going to be an issue, and it's all
Okay, let's say-
lag over you.
Let's say we got somebody listening now that's like, all right, I get it. I get your scare techniques. Adam's probably a secret agent for the government out here trying to get people to listen to this, and he's trying to get them to pay. I haven't paid taxes in years. Like, I'll listen to my boy Clark and stuff, and he'll get people, I haven't filed in 5-7 years. What if you're in that boat? 'Cause you don't want to go to jail.
I'll tell you this. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel left out. Like, you are not the first person. There is plenty of people just like you that say, you know what, let's just pull your head out of the sand, stop ignoring the problem, and let's just face it head on. Like it says, most of the time it is better than what you think it is. Okay? I'll share our story. I've done several of these. My career began doing offers and compromises. You've heard the commercials. Do you owe more than $10,000 of IRS back debt?
Yeah.
Send us your first child name, $7,000, and we'll make it all go away. False. That is just a bunch of garbage. There are some people who are very good at what they do, but those radio ads, that is not who you want to contact. And the reason I'm saying that is I've done enough offers and compromises. In my career, I have successfully done 27, and the only one that I missed, the 28th one, I had all the paperwork done. They thought it was a great idea because their friend had an attorney, and they went to this other place because I saw the receipt. They paid these guys $7,000 to do an offer and compromise because they owed about $50,000. And after that didn't work, after a year and a half, they came back to me and says, "Hey, can you finish helping us?" And I said, "Pound sand."
If you want to send me $7 or $8,000, I'll get you nowhere with the IRS, but I will guarantee that I will get Adam to take your case thereafter,
Yeah.
and it'll be cleared up.
So,
Municipalities, that's what I was trying to say.
well, there you go.
5 minutes later.
First thing to do is you want to find a reputable accountant. And not saying it's me. I don't do a lot of representation work anymore because it's just not my thing. Like, I had high blood pressure. I yell a lot at people. It's just my life expectancy has now improved. I still help people do it. But first thing you want to do is find a reputable accountant who does that, and you want to fill out a power of attorney. Because what happens with that power of attorney, your accountant can now contact the IRS. They can say, exactly, Joe Scumbag has not filed his tax return since 2014. He has outstanding this is how much we show he owes, this is how much income, this is estimated, and that's the first step. Then after that, we can sit down and you can get a game plan together saying, well, now I have everything, let's file the taxes, let's go from there. Let's figure out exactly how much you owe. If it's a dollar amount that you cannot afford, which a lot of times it is, let's figure out a payment plan, figure out how we can do this, or let's legitimately do an offer and compromise. That's the difference of what I did. What I've learned to do is I can tell you right off, once I know what your liability is, once I know Derek Everett owes $50,000.
Allegedly.
Not anymore because he has a great accountant. Because
I wish I made enough to have to owe $50,000.
Well, you did because you got that 1099 in 2013.
Never paid it. Never
from eBay that you thought, well, it's eBay money. I don't have to do anything with it.
Yeah, 50,000. Yep.
And then the problem is eBay got it, and then they put it on your taxes saying, hey, Mr. Scumbag, you didn't claim this income, even though you didn't because you didn't know about it, or you did, but you forgot to put it as a 1099.
Forgot, conveniently.
Yes. So then what happened?
Who was my accountant in 2013?
It wasn't me. That's when you came from your was it your brother or your cousin?
I think it's always been you.
Oh, that's right, 2003. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was you had your Trevor Hicks sign. And that's a lot what happens. Correspondence audit, if you forgot income, then what's going to happen is they're going to assume everything is income. They're not going to say you had any expenses, no meals. So then they're going to have that big lump sum. You're going to owe a lot of money in penalties and interest. And that's realistic. That's how it all happens. So then you get the letters, you ignore it, put your head in the sand. So that's the first thing is I can look at it and say, all right, A, first thing we have to do is get caught up. And now B, I can see that, you know what, yeah, you're really not doing anything.
I need to go back and figure out.
You're really not making any money.
I need to go figure out 2003 first year how I made $50K on eBay and go back to whatever I was doing because it significantly went down every year thereafter.
Well, that's because you spend all your profits.
I spend my nights working hard on the go, but the hands on the clock keep moving too slow. And I can't wait to be alone with my baby tonight, Adam.
Okay. So, continuing the process, I'm able to look at it and say, well, this is how much money you owe. This is how much discretionary income you have. This is the kind of offer that we can do. Unless it's in that ballpark, I don't even waste people's time. So I was able to do that for several people and figure it out. And that's the process is A, stop the bleeding, man. Stop the ignoring, like it has to come to an end, and then make a game plan. It's not the end of the world. People don't go to jail for tax evasion on those kind of dollar amounts. I mean, in order for that really to happen, like you have to be maliciously, like you have to be lying. Forgetting is one thing, but I
maybe you won Survivor and didn't pay your winnings, or were on tour for an extended period of time singing country and western music and forgetting some details.
Maybe you were in some movies like The Fan and you're a pretty admirable actor, or you're a soccer star and you got some
it happens to the best of us.
Questionable advice. It should be scary because it's the government. Like, you're taking money out of their pocket. You are robbing them. You don't like it, move to friggin' Panama.
And then the Panama people probably want taxes too.
Yeah, but buy a deserted island in Zimbabwe.
Something.
And hope you get running water.
So, I mean, that's the thing. And find a good accountant if you're not going to go with Adam, which we're not a big infomercial here, but he is available. And you've heard the commercials.
We can at least answer the point in the right
way. You can get in go to the Google machine and look at reviews, right? I mean, your area, accountant, and reviews. It's not rocket science.
It is not, and you can see by reviews, but messing around with taxes is something you don't want to do. But you got something else?
I got something. Okay, I got something.
I'll lay low. I got a doozy for you.
Okay, we'll get to that. So last week we're talking about starting up your eBay store. Comes through, everyone's kind of happy, kind of how to get things rolling and stuff. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I talked to a person, and this person makes knits these little figures, for lack of a better term, like a watermelon smiling, or a monkey holding a wrench, and just weird, crochets and knits these. They're like plush things, but some are big, some are small, tacos. And I said, hey, you need to be selling these. You should be selling these. They sell them at work for a couple bucks here and there, but you need to sell these. And they say, well, where would I even sell them at? My husband wants me to start selling stuff my husband wants to go and sell stuff from the internet. And I said, hello, DeathPiles and Taxes podcast. Like, we tell you how to do it. Like, you need an Etsy store where you sell this stuff. Well, who would even want it? Just put it up there. Trust me, just put it up there. You got to try. And she says, I listened to your podcast, and this was back in the early days, and I understand how this works is you just bring home a bunch of junk and nobody pays you for it, and it accumulates to the death pile.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe you missed the point. Maybe me and Adam had a little too much fun in the early days and took a few too many, liberties and laughs. If you list things sell. Yes. Your death piles accumulate because you're not listing.
Yeah.
So you got to put it for sale on the internet. That's the gap of the bottleneck is you got your stuff and putting it for sale and then it sells. So we have fun with the podcast. I think people are enjoying the podcast. However, I don't want people to be overwhelmed thinking I'm just going to clutter up my house, or this eBay thing kind of works for these guys because they find these rare items or they find these little gems or they know what they're doing or whatever. And if I was to do it, it would just clog up my house with junk. So I kind of felt bad when the whole thing was, yeah, I've listened to your podcast and you just junk up your house and nothing sells.
You gotta
was the takeaway.
Unless Granny's got her cart open, nobody knows what's in there.
So I just want to say, just list things and give it a try and like homemade little things. Open an Etsy store. Like, that way you are your own source. You control your inventory. You don't have to go find stuff. You just make it and sell it.
Unless you're listing, you're not selling, which brings me to our point. We had a little December list off.
Yeah.
I don't think we discussed it.
I didn't bring it up.
Well, it's because I'm sure that you're going to make me look awful and pitiful, and I'm going to just feel bad about myself.
Well, because the payoff was after December, we were going to go to this bowl game on New Year's somewhere, and the dinner was to be bought. And the squadron that we wanted to go support at the bowl game didn't make it far enough for us to go travel during this time to have the dinner. So I just figured at one point I gave you a little hard time about it, and you're like, I've been listing some jeans. We kind of had a little talk about that. And I just we were just on the wayside a little bit.
I just want to let you know that I purchased the Impossible Whopper for you tonight, and that was because I know you listed more.
That's a payoff. I'll take it.
You can't sell unless you list. We're still listing. We're still selling. Not to the volumes that we should be. I said I've got some other things involved in life. I'm learning some other website things, but we are still listing. We are still selling. Unless you are listing stuff, you will not sell.
Yeah.
Do you remember yesterday? The guy talked about the goal.
I do.
You said the special word bottleneck. Told you, man. I got it sitting on the shelf right there. There's the book, The Goal.
The Goal, the 20th anniversary edition, even.
The one thing I remember. Do you want to know just a small little snippet? Because I think you might understand the concept.
Break it down for me.
Not saying anything, but I'm saying something.
Yeah.
They talk about
not saying you're slow or stupid, because I don't think you'll pick it up. But I'm saying you're slow or stupid. But even somebody on your brain level, somebody who hasn't been through business college, who hasn't had a doctorate in numerology, who hasn't done all these things, even you might understand the concept here. Go ahead.
Oh, God.
That's what I got.
Moral of the story, it talks about a bunch of kids hiking, and there's a slow fat kid at the end that's holding up.
Even the slow fat kid might understand. You might have been on a hike before and been the slow fat kid, possibly in your life. You might relate, just maybe not.
So that's the whole. Unless you've got when you get a bottleneck, unless you're listing, you're not going to sell. That's your bottleneck. That's. Literally, the book, The Goal, talks about a group of scouts going for a hike, and you can only go as fast as all the kids go. And there's a slow, fat kid. They tie him all with ropes to try and make him go faster, and it just...
So I've done some scouting in my day, and I don't even know if I've told this story before, but I was once the scout leader, and we went for a hike. And there might have been a slow fat kid where I'm like, come on, man. Come on, look at me. You got to be faster than me. You're like 12 years old. Come on, kid. And Yeah, I can relate. We didn't tie him up with a rope. I'm like, you gotta get going because I can't keep stopping and going again. I need to just keep going because that's how it is.
That was your bottleneck, and that's the same thing. You're not going to reach your goal of making enough money to furnishes your new child's bedroom unless you're selling. Unless you can't sell unless you're listing. It's a vicious cycle.
And the more you list, the more you sell, as we've all been told and heard numerous times. So it's true.
I'm fat because I eat, and I eat because I'm fat.
It's weird. Is there no humanity?
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, we just got deep philosophical, and if you want to buy the goal, it's probably you can buy it on eBay, I'm sure.
I'm sure you could.
I wanted to read the story to see how they made it, because I'm sure they didn't say there's a slow fat kid.
Oh, no, that's what it says.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read it, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think the kid's name might even been Roy.
A lawsuit. Wait a minute. That guy looks familiar on the cover. How many of those has he sold?
No, Yaya Goldarat did not live in Nephi.
Not by that name. Does it say that these stories are not particularly like the Unsolved Mysteries, like based on true events or whatever? Any name recognition, is clearly. Okay, I have to edit that out. Is coincidental is what I wanted to say. Is only coincidental, as I'll have to edit in back there. Wow, that even for us that got off there, Adam.
Oh boy. Well, I just, you just like you're saying, like, don't fill your house unless you're selling. You are a hoarder. You got to list. You got to sell.
Which, if you want to be a hoarder, that's fine. Like, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, but your kids are going to get your death pile.
But if you want to be listing and selling things on eBay, if you're not listing, you're hoarding. And that probably isn't your goal if you're listening to this podcast. So
nobody wants to be that person. Like, it's just sell that stuff, man. Like, go do something fun. Like, what are you going to do with 27, I don't know, little car model airplanes that you're never going to sell those suckers, keep 5 of them, and go to the museum in Pensacola, Florida, and sit in one of those planes, man.
Or even the thing that kills me, and I know we get into sports cards and stuff like that, is somebody will be like, this card is worth $20,000. And I know there's collectors and people that keep them and want to sell them down the future and their investments or whatever. But really, I mean, a card that's worth $20 or a couple $100, is it really, or is it not? Like, why do I need that? I'll just sell it and take the money because it's not. Is it really worth that, or is that just perceived value? I can all tank tomorrow. It's a whole. So you have a house full of things, and you're like, yes, but this blender's worth $300. Is it? If it's sitting here in your junk pile, never to be used, is it really worth $300, or do you put it on eBay and then you actually have the $300, and in your bank account, the $300 is definitely worth $300.
Yeah, it's all perceived value, but have fun with that's it. While we were at the meeting last night, you know what the best part was? When I'm up there talking and somebody hears the cha-ching, like right in the middle of the thing, and everybody's getting excited, and I says, you know what? That's the moment we all live for now. If it's 11:30 at night and I hear cha-ching, it just makes my night.
Oh yeah, it puts a smile on your face, and that's even with that meeting and why people should go. And I'm sure they do it other. If you sell something, you leave your phone on, and they give you like a Starbucks gift card and things there. So it's
lovely.
It's awesome. Did you have something else you were saying, or is that the goal that you were pulling out?
You know, we get derailed. All of these stories are related to our life, to our experience. We all hope that they benefit you. I've got a very much related one that deals with taxes. And I didn't want to derail it, but I wanted to know, can I share that story with you?
Be my guest. He's reaching for the back pocket, folks.
I want to bring it out, okay? I got a friend. I know it's hard to believe, but...
Is this going to be like making fun of me again? Because I can only take so much.
No, it has nothing to do with you.
Okay, all right. I'll leave.
Leave your ego at the door. It has nothing to do with you.
Oh, the fat kid's hiking. I don't...
He was hefty. Well, he is hefty now. He wasn't at the time. So my friend that I grew up with, and I'll leave his name out of the story just to keep his,
Lawsuits from happening. If you listen to the Prump Grown Up episode, might be in there, might not.
It was.
I was trying to give you escape out.
No escape. Anyways, said friend worked in the construction business. And this is back in the early 2000s. Back when the economy was going good. This is before the bust in 2008, and he was going wild, man. It went from him and a couple guys to him and 15 guys to him and 50 guys. Like, he was running some crews. They were doing some big jobs in Vegas, and anyways, in a relationship with a partner, they had a partnership together. He ran the guys, the other guy ran the finances. If you're in a business relationship, you are a freaking moron if you don't look at the bank statements with your business partner. You will get robbed blind. That's my disclaimer. Like, figure it out, okay? He didn't do that. Friend, this no exaggeration, got a little too excited, took some money, and may or may not have snorted it away. Did some things with it, and kind of create a rift in the relationship.
That could ruin a lot of friendships.
And as it kind of got further, there was some money drying up, and paying 50 guys every week is very expensive. We're talking in the hundred thousands of dollars every single week going in and out of your account. Again, his partner, who was taking care of the finances, thought it was a great idea we've talked about that weird thing is called Social Security and Medicare.
Yes.
It comes out of your check every week. Well, the reason it comes out of your check, like, your employer holds it, and they're supposed to send it in every 2 weeks. This guy thought it was a good idea that, hey, I'm trying to float the books, and that $20,000 I'm supposed to send to the IRS, I ain't gonna send it in yet. So needless to say, their relationship dissolved. He got out of the business, except he's a moron. He forgot to sign some paperwork to saying he exited said business. So the guy was still running those liabilities, and he never paid them. To the tune, after this happened, there was a couple quarters, about 6 quarters that were involved. He had a pretty stiff bill of about $475,000 that he owed. So
That's a lot of money.
Needless, that's go to prison kind of money.
Let's go back to the previous story of, they'll throw you away for that.
Yes. So luckily, like I said, that's my MacGyver story.
The tax MacGyver
That's
story.
my tax MacGyver story. By the time we got everything done and you kind of evaluated, we got the penalties and interest, it ended up being like $530,000. So we're talking over $500,000. I was able to get the information. I met with the revenue officer. I met with everything. I had all of the information showing, well, this is what payroll really was. This is what his resources were. This was his involvement in the business. This is where this guy now lives, in Yuma, Arizona. I had the disclosure. I had everything, and he signed off. So when we were actually able to do everything, he had to go back and redo his taxes because he didn't have the liability. He actually lost money, which was true. I mean, that's why they went out of business. We ended up fixing his taxes, and he ended up getting back $12,000.
So you went from $500,000 down to $12,000 up.
And he bought a motorcycle with it.
Smart man. I can tell he really learned his lesson.
So needless to say, this friend, and I'm going to tell him about this podcast because he'll vouch for every single story. He literally owes me his life. Like, he's told me that. So whenever I need something, he did some work here on the building when I opened. He's been to my house and helped do some construction work.
So you got to go to that. You say, hey, remember that one time?
Oh, yeah.
We're about, not quite the $500,000 out yet.
Oh,
Can you come over and hang some lights or something?
Oh, this guy, he'll do it in a minute.
Is he still down in Arizona?
The ex-business partner, who knows? Like, I think he died of a cocaine overdose or something.
Imagine that.
So, but my friend, no, he still lives in the Salt Lake area. You might have even met him.
Well, we're not throwing out his name. We'll talk off the air.
We will talk off the air, but that is my holy grail of
it's always good to have
offering
friends.
compromises, because the reality, like, he did some very stupid things, but he didn't do anything malicious. He was not withholding the money. Yes, it was his fault because he buried his head in the sand and he trusted somebody else. But we were able to go back, fix it, and that's just what happens. Like, people get too anxious because it's the IRS or it's this or that, or we get scared, and just bring it head on, man. Sometimes you just gotta get that elephant in the room and just take care of it.
Just take care of it, and like I'm saying, I mean, that there's all sorts of things that go into it, but if you have a business partner or you're dealing with money, just looking at the other way and pretending like it's not happening or somebody else is going to take care of it for you never probably ends up in a good spot. Maybe occasionally you have a real honest person that you've known your whole life that doesn't run out on you, but there's stories upon stories of this happening. So especially if you're in a partnership or something, make sure that you keep an eye. Maybe you don't understand all the finances, but they don't know that. So if you say, give me the breakdown, show me what's going on, and even if it's all over your head and you don't know what they're saying, you're looking at the spreadsheet and stuff, and they're probably not cooking the books if you act like you're involved and know what's going on.
Yeah, so.
Or if they are, they're going to get out of it pretty fast because they know that you're on to them.
Exactly. So that's kind of your tax MacGyver story. So.
Oh, that's awesome, Adam. Well, I got just a short derailed story this week. I don't know how long we've been going, if it's derail time or not.
It is derail time.
And I am going to throw on the Husky section at the end with the camo conversation. So everyone just hang tight where you're at.
All right.
The other day, I'm at work, and a lot of my stories do come from work because I spend a lot of time there. And there's this new Disney Plus application. I don't know if you've heard about it. I know we talked about it a little earlier.
I've heard of it.
So I'm doing my work, and there's a group of people that kind of congregated in one of the aisles. And I need to go down and put some stuff up on some racking with the forklifts and stuff. And they're kind of having a good old time. And I see somebody point at me, and they're kind of laughing. And so whenever somebody points or laughs at me, I'm still the fat kid on the playground that's like self-conscious and somebody's making fun of me or something. So I do my job and I kind of roll up there and they talk to me a little bit or whatever, and they kind of disperse. And one of the guys I work with directly, and I said, what was all that about? And he's like, what? I said, I was coming down and noticed that they were pointing at, just what were you talking about? Like, I'm expecting the Husky section jokes or the bald guy jokes or who knows what. And they were like, oh, yeah. Well, I said, they pointed down, and he said, you really want to know? I said, yeah, I really want to know. And they said they were talking about Disney Plus and how great Disney Plus was, and they've been watching all these movies and streaming this, that, and the other. And they were asking if you had Disney Plus, and they were having this conversation about that, right? And so I guess they pointed down and said, does Derek have Disney Plus? To asking the other coworker, and he just kind of laughed. And I guess one of the other persons says, does he look like he has Disney Plus? Is that a compliment or not? I'm not sure.
So let's answer the question. Do you have Disney Plus?
Well...
No, it's a simple yes or no.
Yes. However, I'm not paying for Disney Plus.
Oh, I don't think you can say that on the air, that you're pirating secret videos.
I'm not pirating. Somebody else is paying for the subscription and letting me use it as one of their members.
Well, I guess that may or may not be okay.
But I haven't used it yet.
Well,
but at the time of this question, I did not.
Well, we'll get back off the derailment. We're going to wrap her up here. But
I took it that I was big, tough, and wouldn't be caught. I'm not that kind of a guy.
I watched Mary Poppins with my kids on New Year's Eve.
I won't watch it. They don't have the No-Mobile on it. That's why I didn't get it. You say that you got every Disney movie ever and you don't have the No-Mobile? I'm not even going to dig into what else you don't have. Thanks a lot, Walt.
Song of the South?
I'm not going to say that at all. I'm not touching that with a 33.5-foot pole. Is that what you said last week?
39.5-foot pole.
There's certain things you just don't touch, Adam.
Okay.
That's what, no, I don't pay for Disney.
Just like you don't touch messing around with the IRS.
Hey, it's just like when Randy asked me if I knew where his daughter was. I didn't know.
You didn't know. I think you said you left her in the tree hanging.
That was a different girl, different date. Someday I'll have to tell my dating life stories. That'd be a whole new podcast.
I'm telling you, that's the one you ought to start with Dale. I'm telling Derek.
I got a line.
He's talented, man. Like the engineering team, he's gonna have to bring along. The
That's
ideas.
the problem. If I could just pass off the MP3 to somebody else to do all the editing and that work.
The sultry sounds, the beautiful voice. I told him he needs to start a podcast with our friend Dale, who was a firefighter for several years, and they're gonna call it "We Didn't Start the Fire," and they're gonna share.
Well, somebody's just stole your name.
Well, it's the original. I've got it trademarked.
I'm sure you do.
So, well, buddy, appreciate it. Had a great time. We're going to post a couple things this week. give us the feedback. We're going to hit some good tax topics. I hope you enjoy it, because I sure did, man.
Oh, it had been a great time.
It was a great time had by me.
I'd say all.
Okay, good. I had by all. Enjoyed my Do Zero, my Impossible Whopper, and my 3 gram of sugar Robert Irvine protein bar.
Hey, there's only 2 things in life that are for certain.
I will not let you go back to jail again.
Because of taxes.
Because of taxes.
And?
When you get that big stack of stuff and you pass on, like, you're going to have a death pile. So, death piles and taxes.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh.
Welcome to hashtag
Husky section.
Well, once again, residual friend of the program, the gift that keeps on giving.
Pleasured guest.
Our Christmas present that just is always here for us
That
right
won't
now.
go away.
That won't go away. Mike Painter's here with us. Mike, me and Adam know nothing when it comes to outdoor products and selling things. We're not your hunter fisherman really,
Okay.
per se. Clear back, I guess it's been several months ago, we were talking about like camouflage and expensive camo. You were the guy I reached out to for some of this. I thought Realtree was the real deal, high-end stuff. I learned the brand Sitka. We had a guy reach out to me from New Jersey that said, I really enjoy learning about all these new products and new things to sell because, I mean, let's face it, New Jersey isn't known, in some parts of New Jersey, I guess there's the kind of like the not city parts that they can get the hunting and all that goes on.
Sure.
I mean, hunting's big everywhere, right?
Especially in the USA.
And so, yeah, especially. I don't know. You go all over the world, though, on your shows and selling products and things. So, anyways, people like this new things, branch out, finding new things, areas to sell new niches. What can you tell us about like the world of camouflage, outdoors, hunting products? What are some brands that people might not know about? Some higher end, middle end, things to avoid, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so you can say, the hunting, the outdoor industry has changed a lot since the days of your granddad. The days of Fred Bear walking around in your flannel red shirts, and although that's effective, I mean, I don't know that deer care what you're wearing, but nowadays it has changed a lot. Like you mentioned, you had the Realtree and mossy oak and camouflage patterns like that. At one time they were the top of the game, and they still do provide a lot of really amazing products. But for the most part, there's definitely a lot of companies now that are focusing more on, they call them a wilderness athlete. It's more of an athlete that's out there hunting and is going and backpacking and going into these backcountry areas and things like that. And they're focusing more on camouflage and apparel made, by Sitka. Sitka is a very high end company. So if you're ever out thrifting and you come across Sitka. Kuiu, spelled Kuiu. That's another great company. There's other ones like that out there that that's things you're going to want to look for. Under Armour's another big one now. Under Armour's got a really big hunting division or outdoor division. The quality of the camouflage, the quality of the items, the garments are so much better now too. I mean, you layer a lot, things like that. So I mean, there's coats, there's vests, there's different.
What are some price ranges? So I know my boss is a big duck hunter. He's the DU guy, does all that kind of stuff, and he was talking about the Sitka and stuff, and I was kind of sharing this with him, and he was saying even when you go to a Kohl's, I guess it wouldn't be a Kohl's, but like a sporting goods store, that he sees it on the clearance all the time, and that he's thinking about trying to flip it that way even. What are some price ranges for some of the higher end camo that might surprise people? I know what surprised me and Adam when we first heard about it.
Yeah, you say I know that. So Sitka, I'm giving them a plug, I guess, but it's a lot of the camo that I like to wear. I've worn quite a bit of their apparel, and it was a lot of shell shock for me the first go around too. I bought a pair of pants, high end quality pants. I mean, it's a pair that you can wear into the mountains, not plan on getting ripped, and you can stay warm, things like that, and you'll pay. For one of their mid to higher end pairs, you'll be anywhere from $250 to $300. So,
do they have a motor in these pants?
They should.
Do these make me run faster, jump higher?
they keep you warm, which allows you to do that. That's for sure.
I know that's a lot more than Barb and she'd spend in the husky section.
Yeah, I know
The
exactly.
section was
Yeah, I mean, growing up, things like that, we didn't have, and we never even thought of purchasing camo. Heck, I was lucky if I had a camo backpack from Walmart. I mean, it was, we didn't
Hard
spend that
times.
kind of money. It was that's jeans and an orange shirt. That's how we went deer hunting. But things have changed though, and guys are taking the thought process now that I can buy 2 sets of really good.
Several.
Yep.
You just buy one
Opposed
good
to
one,
buying
and it's forever.
a crap ton of all this other stuff. So, you can buy jackets. Like I'll have a jacket that's in that $250 to $300 range. The guys that are hunting ducks though out in the marsh, they're going to layer a bunch. They've probably got some bibs and they probably got the parkas and things like that. They're probably into their whole setup. They could be into it $500 or more.
So if a guy were, let's just say, trying to get into that, maybe that kind of a niche, okay,
Mm-hmm.
where would you say is the best place for him to kind of look at, and then like timing? Like what I mean by timing is like what time of the year, when are you really looking to get those things and sell those things?
So your seasons are definitely, in the West, you're starting in August is when you're going to start hunting deer. That's kind of when your archery seasons start. From August to December is the December time frames where the guys in the South and the East they really start hunting a lot of the whitetail and things like that. So that's kind of your time frame. You're gonna looking at Q3, Q4 is when you're gonna want to make sure you got stuff up and going. As far as actually finding the things, I mean, I think your best case is you're looking on yard sale pages or going to yard sales, things like that. Guys have gotten fatter, they've gotten thinner, and they're trying to get rid of their old camo so they can buy more, or their wives are like, hey, we're cleaning this crap out, your closets.
So you're talking yardies, you're talking things.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of gave us those brands, those kind of things to look for, but the same thing, it applies to all your other items. If you go and look at it, you always look for the unusual, because I've learned this, like there's so many other things just in camo, like they have the desert camo, the Arctic camo, the digi camo. I mean, there's so many different things that it's really become the amount of money we spend on outdoor recreation is just insane.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, there's niche products out there, but I mean, more so than anything, it's the brand that's going along with it, because that's meaning the quality that you're looking at. If you can pick up some of those higher end, camouflage brands, jump on the websites of some of these hunting these outdoor retailers and look and see the different prices on some of their higher end stuff. At least it gives you an idea of what to go look for. If you can pick them up for a song, then it's a great opportunity. If you're picking them up for $50 off, when a guy's spending $400, he doesn't care if he's getting a $50 discount, and he'd rather buy it from the manufacturer and know that everything's legit and on the up and up.
And so you can find that kind of stuff at, like you said, yard sales, thrift stores, all that kind of thing. Let's talk like kind of decoys and other things, spotting scopes, that kind of stuff. I was shocked when I found out how much people buy duck decoys and that kind of thing for. That just baffles my mind. I've seen those before at thrift stores and walk by them and give them a second shot. I can't talk. I've been talking too much. Second chance to. I didn't even think about it, and then go on to find out some of those go for quite a bit. And also those other accessories that you might see and walk by if you don't know what you're looking for. What are some of those type of items? Kind of price range. I know it can be depending on quality all over the place.
For sure.
But things that people might walk by a thrift store or a yard sale and not even bat an eye at.
Something that's really cool when you talk about the decoys. I mean, decoys in general, are very expensive. So like we talked about in a few episodes ago when you had me on that, I found those goose decoys in a storage unit. That was the whole reason I bought that storage unit, was because those goose decoys were in there. They're large and they're expensive. But something really cool that you can look for, folks can look for when they're at the thrift stores or out and about at yard sales, look for the old wood decoys. Duck decoys or goose decoys made out of wood. That's from the early days, the 40s, 50s, things like that, before they used all the plastics and stuff. And some of those, especially if they're in great shape, are worth a lot of money. It just depends on the quality, just like anything else. So definitely look for that. Look for those types of items. As far as the other things, something that I think people get wrapped around sometimes, I think maybe they're cutting a fat pig and they're really not, is they'll be out looking at yard sales and they see some optics. They see this giant telescope. It's like, this thing's like the size of the Hubble telescope. Or, it's like, this has got to be worth some money, and then it ends up being a no-name brand that's made, in Asia or, in China that's really worth $10, and they spend $100 on it and they think they're going to flip it for $1,000 just because it's big or it's bulkier because of what it is. You really have to know your brands when you're getting into optics. I mean, there's a few really high-end brands out there. If you ever run into, one that's probably the most recognizable high-end brand out there is Swarovski. If you buy a spot and scope brand new from those guys, it can be anywhere from $3,500, $5,000. So I mean, there's definitely opportunities, and they hold their resale value, pretty well. I mean, you'll lose some, but I mean, you probably can still get $1,500 for a used scope. So, like I said, a lot of the European optics are really good. So Swarovski, Leica, Zeiss, things like that are definitely things you want to keep your eyes open for brands.
So there you go, guys. It's another opportunity, another niche to get into. The stuff's nationwide. It's not just, in these small hotels that we come from, right? Worldwide. So, growing up, it was a lot more popular in smaller towns, but there's people that hunt all over the place. So you might find it in estate sales. The people don't know what Dad was into, what Dad had, or you might just find it, in thrift stores because, like you say, people are moving or cleaning up shop or getting new things. So it's a new niche.
Well, Mike, again, thanks for your wealth and your knowledge.
Thanks for having me.
The outdoor things. We're going to open it up to, our listeners. If you have any questions in the outdoor market, send us a message on Facebook. You hit us up on the tweet machine at DRoy Everett, followed by Gary Vaynerchuk. They're close personal Twitter friends.
There we are.
Selling them some, cards. You're in that wrestling market, maybe you need to send him something too. I mean, maybe send him a picture of your Mick Foley.
Yeah. I can say I've been traveling a little bit with Mick Foley.
Yeah, throw that hashtag.
Yeah, so you definitely follow me on the Instagram, and hopefully it's going to be up and rolling with a lot of pictures and things then. But it's traveling with Mick and Mick. And my name's obviously Mick, and he's Mick Foley. So.
There you go. Love it. So you bring a lot of high energy.
That's right.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You stopped me dead while I was passing by. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you every time. And oh my, I like your style. You make me wanna cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. So they say, dance for me, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, hey. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. I said, oh my God, I see you walking by. Take my hands, my dear, and look me in my eyes. Just like a monkey, I've been dancing my whole life. But you just beg to see me dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you every time. And oh my, I like your style. You make me wanna cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. So they say, dance for me,